All right, good evening. It's 6 p.m. This is the regular combined meeting of the Board of Commissioners, St. Charles Parish Housing Authority. It's Tuesday, September 26, 2017, 6 p.m., St. Charles Parish Courthouse, Hahnville, Louisiana. Now call the meeting to order. You all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, now take roll, starting at my right.
Commissioner Champagne.
Secretary.
Commissioner Bailey. Commissioner DeBrouillet.
Commissioner Rodney Woods.
Lieutenant Richard Oob, St. Charles Sheriff's Office.
And I'm Webb J., Chairman.
Chairman, Ms. Perrier asked me to pass on to you guys that she had an issue with her son, not an emergency issue, but something going on with her son that prevented her from being here at the last minute.
All right.
Sends her apologies.
All right, noted. Thank you. All right, first agenda item is approval of minutes for the meeting from 7:25. We have any board discussion?
I didn't even see it, to be honest with you.
I thought we was approving August. Oh, okay, all right, okay.
Any discussion?
No.
Do we have a motion?
Chairman, I'd like to pass a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting of 7/25/17.
All right, motion from
I
Commissioner
second
Bailey.
it.
Second from Commissioner Champagne. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Minutes are approved. All right, Lieutenant Oob, thanks for being here this evening.
All right. So since September, we have logged 69 hours of patrol. Did have an incident on 16th of September in Booty Estates, and that was the one you asked about, Mr. Bell. And the subject was arrested, and he's still incarcerated. And he's got an attachment, and it's a misdemeanor sexual battery with the charges. And so he's still in jail.
Depending on the outcome, will determine what happens to him.
Yeah, and I'll get with you more. Like I said, I got the information. I'll get with you more after that. I'll come by your office and we'll sit down and discuss it.
Okay.
All right.
And that's all I have for her.
All right. Any board discussion or comments? I know we didn't have the meeting last month. So,
Just
any
for
questions?
the record, the incident he's talking about, without stating names, involved all residents. And it seemed minor, but it's not minor in the sense that if he's convicted, we're not at liberty not to do anything. He has to be evicted if he's convicted. So we don't have a choice because of the nature of the crime.
All right. Any more discussion? All right, seeing none? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Lieutenant.
I'll see you people next time.
Appreciate it.
All
Thanks, sir. All right. Board action on financials, seeking approval of low rent and HCVP expense reports for June 2017. Any discussion?
This might be a good point for me to try to explain something, because it's hard to explain. It's technical, but
All right, Mr.
I'm
Bell,
going to try.
give it a shot.
Yeah. I'm going to pass this out, and we're going to refer to this as I talk. Should be. I got it. Yeah. Basically, what has happened is And we'll see it more when we talk about the actual budgets and the revised budget.
If you want to make sure that mic is closer to you. There you go.
Okay. Back in January, HUD started talking to the various agencies about this, what they call cash management, more oversight for cash management. And what they asked was if any agency had more than 1 month's ability to pay the HUD, the HAP contracts, which is what we pay every month, then you had too much, you were holding too much money. Now, over the years, and I'm going back 6, 7, maybe 8, 9 years, our, what they call a restricted net position had gotten up to approximately $600 and some thousand. Now, it's called restricted because you can't use it for anything except paying HAP contracts. You can't use it for anything else. And because they never were fully, the vouchers were never fully utilized. Going back many years, they were much lower than they are now. We're talking about less than 100. So now they're up to about 260 something, and hopefully by the end of the years, they'll be up to between 290 and 300. But with that being the case, we had that large amount of money sitting there. So the way HUD decided to do it was, and they confirmed all this in about March or April of this year, and the way HUD decided to take the money back, and it's not taking it back, it's still our money, it's still in our account, but they would not fund us. They would not give us the appropriations. And that's why I have attached this spreadsheet. I want you to look at that while we talk, and I can explain it to you. LA 94 is St. Charles Parish Housing Authority. If you're looking at column label E, that $139,402, and it changed to $174, is what we would get every month, appropriation. And they usually tell you a month before that how much you're going to get that month. We based our budget last year on getting approximately this amount every month. So when they made this decision, it meant that starting in July, August, and September, we would not get anything. We got 0, 0, 0. And what that made us do is use our reserves for those months to pay. So if you go across, you see where they have minus payments all the way on the other side. And you see again that this month, meaning September, we will begin to get it again because we've gotten the reserves almost to where they were supposed to be. And the whole object of this game is to reduce what we call our restricted net position to where it is. If you look at the bottom, it's about $43,121 from $505,000. So if you look at the top line, it would be line 7. At the very top, on the left side, you see $505,307.
That's line 8.
And that was when, at the beginning of the year, we had this
That was
600 and some thousand. That 600 was that amount.
Mr. Bell,
Yes, sir.
that was line 8, the 505,
It's line
357, line 7's the
Lines.
496.
What column?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's column G.
Oh, okay.
If you look at the very top, when I use the columns, I'm talking about the very top. Up at the, you see G.
Right,
Below it, it says E and F, but we're talking that column.
okay.
And so that 505 plus what we would have used that month is where we got the 600 and some thousand dollars. What we were trying to do is get to a point where HUD is comfortable with the amount of money we have, and we're not paying out, and we are beginning to get money back again. So if you see in September, after you see the 3 zeros, which is June, July, August, and September, right under that is October. In October, we will get $105,504. So we'll be short about $40,000. We will call HUD and tell them to give us $40,000 of our money, and they'll do it.
Now, so can I just to make sure I'm
Yes, sir.
understand what you're doing? So this money, this 505, is money that we have in HAP right now, restricted, can only be used for
HAP contract.
HAP and port outs. Could I think that too?
Well, that's all. contract.
HAP. Okay, gotcha. And
Can't be used for administrative fees or for operational
okay,
side. Yeah.
and that's what we have right now. Plus, so what minimum amount are we
We're
should?
trying to get zero, where we are down and not zero, but where this net column, see how it becomes 43,000 at the bottom? It's 43,000.
120.
And the reason that you see down at the very bottom, you don't see any numbers because that's for 2018. We haven't begun to use that column yet. But we're really trying to get rid of that negative net position, restrictive net position. If you remember those letters back and forth that we were writing HUD, and HUD was telling us, well, what are you going to do? You got to pay this amount penalty. And I was telling HUD that I can't afford to pay the amount because I still have this restrictive net position. And one part of HUD, they were not really communicating with the other part of HUD, because this is dealing with HUD Regional out in Denver, and the other one was HUD Regional here, the local office, operational office. So if you go back to this cover that I gave you, I tried to explain it, and I'm going to go back there so I can stay on course too. If you look at the fourth bullet, and I said, although we began speeding up the issuance of vouchers, and now we're regularly putting more in the street, we could not expend that amount of dollars in 6 months. There's no way that we could spend that amount. So if we couldn't expend it, they were going to take it back. The reality is, even if we, not staff up, but lease up to where we'd have almost 310 people in the program, we still wouldn't use that amount of money. So HUD decided when all the numbers were in for SCPHA to use their HAP reserves for July, August, and September to fund this program, we would not get the allotment but use the reserve dollars. The dollars were not removed from SCPHA but held in reserve by HUD. During the beginning of October, we were down to an acceptable amount and will get approximately $105,000 routinely. We will ask for the difference in the amount from our reserves to pay our HAP contracts, and it's still our money, so they'll give it to us. It's not like we have to apply for a grant.
I know we want to do it as fast as possible, but with no time frame. They're not saying, hey, you've got a year to do this, or you're not getting it back.
We do the automatic payments online. We do that. We start what we call initialization on the 28th of the month. By the 1st, the money drops on the 1st. So on the 28th, when we start initialization, I'll call her by phone and tell her, and then she'll put the money there, and we'll get it by the time all of it drops. After October...
Excuse me, I have a question.
Yes,
So when you say routinely, that's every fiscal year, or how routinely?
It's monthly.
Okay.
And the reason, if you go back to the other sheet, the reason you see no dollars down there for November and December is because they don't have a clue how much we're going to get. It's based on Congress, and because we're still using the continuing resolution, we never know exactly how much we're going to get. So once we find that out, they'll be able to drop those numbers in. If you look at the back, I said pretty much that. And I said the only things we have to do is lease up as fast as we can. In fact, 50 letters are going out on October the 3rd, and they're done now. And monitor our contracts closely. Absorb all participants coming into St. Charles. So we started 2 months ago. Anybody coming into St. Charles, we absorb them. That means we tell them, yes, you can get on our program, but we have to be the administrators of the contract.
All right, Mr. Bell, just to clarify and correct me if I'm wrong, so the excess funds that we had accumulated, that was because we didn't use enough of the funds for these vouchers, and we had reserve?
Well, the simple answer is yes, but it goes back many, many years.
I understand that, yeah.
Yeah.
So, going back,
And it is also is because of the way HUD did their accounting.
Okay.
Going back, they would allow you to keep it, and years ago, they would even allow you to draw interest on it. You cannot do that.
what is the protocol in place now
Mm-hmm.
to assure that we're not, that we're able then to give the vouchers out so that we're not accumulating the excess to put us in that position?
Well, it's simple. We are putting vouchers on the street as fast as we can in numbers of, we usually have what we call briefings. We have 50 people at a time from the waiting list. And from that 50, we did 50 2 months ago, we did another 50 last month. I think all of those people except 3 are in the process of either signing a half contract or have signed a contract. The only issue we have that fights against that process is that ultimately we end up taking people off the program every month too, because they violated some tenet, either made too much money, didn't report it, or they did something else that they could not do and be in good standing.
Okay.
But if we put 50 on the street, typically what we end up getting out of that 50 is about 15 leases. And if we keep doing that, and we have enough people on the waiting list, I think we're down now to about 600. And then we'll reopen the waiting list probably early next spring.
I mean, looking at it on the surface, I realize this was an accumulation of years, and that's what
Yeah.
put us in that position that we were in.
Right.
But looking at it at the surface, we have this vast waiting list of people waiting to get on the program. And I understand there's a process by which we have to go through that waiting list. But just on the surface of things, it's like, how do you accumulate beyond what you're using with a waiting list?
Well, because 2 reasons. One is when they give you the vouchers, the available vouchers, years ago, they gave us a certain number of vouchers. When we had the hurricane, I think we had Katrina and then we had Ike. And what happened was, in both of those cases, people who got on the program, they were on, which was at the time a temporary program, then they allowed you, for lack of a better way to put it, grandfather them into your program, so you increase your number of available vouchers. We kept the Ike people were not even added into the program. We had about 18 of those, and we just put them in the actual overall program about 2 months ago when HUD agreed and our accountant that was the best thing for us to do. But generally speaking, all we can do is have procedures in place like we do now with the new administrative plan, with the fact that we will not let a month go by without having groups going on the street looking for housing. The process itself is somewhat long because of the availability of stock. They still have to find something that passes HQS housing quality standards. As recent as the day, we had 3 houses to fill, and they didn't understand why it failed, but they were just not uninhabitable, but they
didn't meet the standards.
Right. So it's a process, and it takes time, and it's time on both ends. If they put in, we have to work with the housing authority they're coming from. If they put out, we have to do the same thing. So, all I can say is that's what we're doing. But I took that aside because when you see in one of the proposed budgets, $500-some thousand that is a deficit, it's reported as a deficit. It's not a deficit, but you have to report it, and the money is still our money, but it's in another pot.
All right,
When you get there, we can talk about it.
noted. Any discussions on this?
Yes, well, just another quick question.
Right,
In your
Woods.
second to last bullet, you say, this sheet we were just talking about,
Yes, sir.
it says during the beginning of October, we were down to an acceptable amount. What was that acceptable amount? How far down did we go, or what did we do?
The acceptable amount is what you have to pay out. In other words, if we're paying out, if you look at the reports that I sent you either last month or this month, and in it, it's on this sheet here. And what I try to do is give you what half payments we pay. You see, if you look at the last one for this month, it says that the half payments will be $153,529. So the difference in that 105 and that 153 is what I have to get from them. I'll call them and ask them for that amount.
But, then I'm not understanding it.
Okay.
I guess my question was trying to be, you said, they're saying we had too much money that, and they would
Okay.
take some back. I guess my question was going to be,
What's too much money?
what was that acceptable amount that we went down?
What
that
I'm
HUD?
saying is they don't want us to have more than 1 month of what we would pay out for the HAP contracts.
Okay.
So in our case, right now, based on last month, it would be $153,000
That we pay out.
that we pay out.
So looking at
they
these
wouldn't want us to have more than $153,000.
So looking at these numbers, we're some $300,000 above what they want us to have?
Not
Oh,
now.
we should have.
Not now, because we didn't get paid. Remember, they didn't give us any for July, August, and September.
Okay,
So that's how they got us to come down.
gotcha. Not
But-
about, gotcha.
The reality is this, and I guess I should just say it like it is. If HUD ever decides they're cutting budgets throughout HUD, throughout the administration, and trying to find dollars to put in other places like the military and et cetera, if there's a fight over the money, it's easier for HUD to control the money if they have it as opposed to if we have it. And so, because we're on a system of allotment or drawdown anyway, this just assures that they don't have to spend a whole lot of time asking us about this money. They'll say, you didn't use X, we're going to take
So not to
X."
prolong this, our solution to keep our money would be to just put more of the vouchers out
To
there.
use them.
To just use them up, use them up. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any further discussion?
I'll try to
No,
update this.
on what? That was going to be my question for you.
On what we just discussed, on the
No, on that, no.
on the
no.
HAP deficit.
Mr. Chairman, I'll try to update this since we kind of started with this chart, at least let you see how it's progressing every month.
All right, that'd be great. Thank you. All right, back to board financials. Approval of the low rent and the Section 8 expense reports for June 2017. Any discussion? All right.
Yes, yes.
Mr. Wood.
Yeah, and I don't know that I'll be able to get my head around all of this evening, but I hope we can have more discussion in the future.
We might want to consider having a meeting just on finance.
Well, that may well be, because the question I'm having, again, it was going to be finance and salaries and stuff. Just been trying to follow the numbers, and I'm not.
Okay.
And if I just look at June, I'm going to just a small example. I'm in the Section 8 for June,
And
and
Commissioners, these reports that we're looking at now are from the meeting that should have taken place last month, so they're in that packet of information. You're on Section 8
Section
for
8,
June.
month of June, page 5,
think I have June. I had it.
Let's see, which one is this?
Is it a question that you can ask?
Well, yeah, Bob, yeah, just
July?
if you look, well, we're just, again, was going to be talking about numbers. If you look under administrative expenses, the
Right.
first line, 9110,
And you're looking at the low rent,
section 8,
section 8, in the first line.
under administrative expenses. 12 months ended 62,300.
Page are you on, sir?
Page 5, I'm sorry.
Okay. I see.
So it talks about 12-month ended, it goes 9 months ended, then budget versus actual, looks like, anytime I see parentheses, I think in the red. So we're not, and if you look at percent remaining, we're 10.77% over. And my question just kind of is trying to get an understanding of salaries. I know we had the contract person that we, terminated or whatever to try to bring things down.
That person now is on staff, and back in July and June, she was not on staff. But the reality is that we have less people than we really need, but we have problems that we hadn't accounted for. So when these people, for example, you'll see in the monthly report that 2 people are out, been out, Ms. Jackson and Mr. Taylor. Well, if Ms. Jackson was here, that'd be a third person working in Section 8. But as long as you don't have those people, that means that we have to get this work done some kind of way. And that's why we had to pay the contractor until we brought her in-house. But it's,
Okay, and I guess I'm not understanding. So you say maybe a meeting on just how we're paying and who we're paying, because
I think-
these numbers seem to me, whatever we thought we were going to budget, we're past that.
Because on
Well-
90, we got 91, 96, and it's like we're over
Well,
19,000.
I think you're right. We are past it for a number of reasons. One is we had to get the work done. We've lost some people. If you go back to the first budgets of the year, the first financial reports of the year, we've lost at least 2.5 positions, I would say 2.5, that we did not put anybody in. But we still have to get the work done. And like now, I'm doing my job, somebody else's job. I'm in the office all day on Saturday. Those kind of things, after a while, the bottom line is that you got to pay for it. I was on the phone half the day today with HUD, telling them to give us our money because they have us on not zero spending, but we can't spend anything without HUD approving it. Well, it's hard for you to budget, and it's hard for you to get a contractor to come in if you don't know when HUD is going to release the money. So I'm saying, the person told me, well, you got to make sure it's in your plans for the year. And I said, if it wasn't in the plans, you wouldn't have approved the plan in the first place. So you got it in the plans, but now we need to pay. And you're holding this amount of money. Well, send us the contracts. So I sent the contracts. And I'm still waiting on the money. Well, the thing is, I don't have the luxury when I have major water leaks. I'm trying to get the water leaks down. We were running an average of $9,000 to $10,000 a month just for the water bill. So we fixed 2 of them, and each time we fixed it, the pressure of it, I guess, went somewhere else, and we got another leak. But if you see on that action plan, part of what I'm trying to do is to get enough money from capital funds or somebody so that we can fix these major areas and not have this constant seepage. Now, residents don't see that, but they're the ones who call and say, I have a backup, or I have a major water leak in my yard. I have to pay for it some kind of way. I had one contractor come out 2 weeks ago for a major water leak, $3,900 one day, about $9,900 the next day, because we don't have the equipment or the expertise. You go out on a bid, you get two back, you get two quotes. I mean, you try to get at least 3 or 4, sometimes 5 quotes.
But do we have in the budget somewhere something for that, those emergencies or whatever? Because my brain was on salaries, but I'm following what you're saying.
You can only budget what you have. In other words, when you say budget, you can only budget what you're going to be appropriated.
Gotcha.
And we never think in the beginning that all these things would go wrong this year. And if we had thought that, it wouldn't have mattered. We didn't have the money. We just have to find the money within the budget. Now, we lucked out last year. We didn't have any legal fees, so we moved that money, and we move it around, and that's part of what the revised budget does, helps us move money around.
Okay.
Well, I mean, Mr.
Yeah.
Bell, I think
Yeah.
part of it is that's why people have frustration with government is that, if you're running a business, you need to have a rainy day fund for these incidents. But basically what you're saying is that we can't have in the budget what we don't know is going to take place. And
Well,
you correct me if I'm wrong, but
You're wrong.
so, okay, that's fine. I can be
What
wrong.
I'm saying is, not that you can't have in the budget, but you have 3 things that you always have to keep in mind. One is, our units were built between 69 and 71, 1969 and 71.
Right.
We never had major modernization, none of them. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is that you can only budget, in the terms we're using today, what you appropriate. It's based on the number of units, it's based on the formula, it's based on the number of units, it's based on the rent you collect, and the whole bit. Now, we've been collecting almost 100%. On the first day of September, I collected $9,000 some odd dollars. On the second day, I collected $10,000 some odd dollars. Because people know we will evict them if they don't pay. But you still have those few people that you end up evicting. Once you evict them, you got to go in, redo the units.
Well, and I understand that. I think the point I'm trying to get across is, where is it that, okay, the buildings were built in 69, 71. Okay, so you have buildings that are, 50 years old, okay? You have old buildings and
And the old infrastructure.
old infrastructure, correct. So where in the budget do we allocate to say these buildings need continual maintenance? Not only do they need continual maintenance, they need overhaul in a lot of cases. So, not looking at a government structure, not looking at the budgets and the allocations, but just saying in general terms, what the general public says is, if I'm going to operate a business, I need to have a rainy day fund for the unexpected. Well, when you get 50 and 60-year-old buildings, there's going to be a lot of unexpected that are expected.
But
I mean,
you also-
it's expected to be unexpected, so I'm just wondering, does HUD, and I understand that we have the local housing authority and we have HUD and there, but is there within what HUD allows, is there a way to budget into our approved budget to allow for funds to be set aside for these unexpected projects? How do we
Well,
calculate that? How do we figure that out?
I'm not sure how we calculate it, but one of the ways that HUD has decided is for us to create this joint action plan of how we're going to get to some of these critical problems. That plan is what I gave you today, where I was the first one they told me to send them the list of our major problems. So I have there what we expect to do in year 1, year 2, all the way to year 5. The other thing is, they never fund you at 100%. We thought we were going to be funded at 85%. We got funded at 70-some%. So that means if you're supposed to get $1 million and you get 700,000, everything you plan, you got to replan right then and there. And because we're using what they call continuing resolutions, and they tell you by the month what you're going to get, you can hopefully plan, but you don't do any really good planning. In terms of the kind of problems that we have, is not just the infrastructure, it's the fact that we're doing it all ourselves. And by that I mean many housing authorities have additional resources. They have the city to help them. Sometimes they have other entities to come forth and help them. Here in the parish, we'll get help, but not that kind of help. We don't get additional funding.
You think if we came with a good package that's some foresight how we're trying to improve that, we could present it to the council and say, here's how you could help us out with a good, clear vision? And
I'm willing to do anything like that. I mean, I would not say that the council wouldn't be amenable to it, but I know if it's anything where they're going to have to raise taxes, they might say.
I know what you're saying, and we're kind of off the topic, but I'm just trying to think that, we got to come up with some vision of how we get out of this hole.
My vision. My vision is I'm sitting here trying to figure out all of these remedies myself. HUD is supposed to be helping, and they help to a certain extent. You saw them over there.
Yeah.
And they said, well, you got to fix this, you got to fix it. Yeah, but where's the money coming from? And we don't have additional funding. We got a $600 and some penalty that is one of the things they're always asking us to pay. I have a vending machine which is sitting there supposedly earning money, so that, and I mean, all of those things won't get us where we need to be, but it shows that we're trying to do what they asked us to do.
Not to keep beating this dead horse, but I'm going to just suggest sometime in the kind of near future, just as a board, we get together and sit down and talk about the things I heard and what you're going to discuss later, and we sit down and come up with some kind of vision rather than over and over.
We can't do it in a board meeting if the board meetings don't last more than an hour. We cannot do it because it needs explanation, and some of the stuff really needs orientation, if not education, because you got to get used to what we're talking about through either pictures, diagrams, or something, so that you'll help understand where the real need is. But I'm willing to do whatever will help us get there.
And I'll close with this. I'm going to say blunt, but I even read it in the paper you got us. Maybe it's just going to take a little bit more participation from us. Just come in here one night a month. We're just going to say, hey guys, for the next whatever, pick up 6 months, we got to do what we got to do to get something, some kind of vision and move forward. And once you get a plan on paper, then you can keep picking at it and picking at it. I don't even know that we have a plan to do renovations or all this good stuff. Something that's...
Well, we have a plan, but it's only based on the capital funds that we get each year.
Gotcha.
Usually is, for example, one of the things you'll see on there are windows. Well, windows is one of the reasons that we fail what they call REACT, because they don't stay up by themselves. Well, it's one of the most cost-intensive things you can do because they take the whole window out. So those are the kind of things that we need to talk about and prioritize. And that's why you'll see on the plan that I have doing so many a year. It won't be everything, but maybe the other way is better. Maybe that's all we'll do that year, but then I don't know what I'll do when I have a major emergency.
Gotcha.
All right.
Okay.
Commissioner Bailey, did you were mentioning something before?
Yeah, so I was just bringing to attention that I know you said the parentheses and negatives. You brought that up
Yeah,
earlier.
he did go down on, yeah.
So I'll just bring up the contract labor. Now, the only thing I was just basically say about that is, like, I understand that we needed to bring some people in to help out for a while. And I know you mentioned that 2 people were missing. I don't know how long they've been out, but you said that they're missing. And that you have to come in on a Saturday to do work. I know that for a long time, we've had issues with certain people being able to do certain duties. I just want to know how we coming along with that, because I know if one person leaves, if one person is absent from the organization, there should be a system in place, like with any company. And operations isn't what we get involved in, but the money is, and it seems like we've been spending a lot of money with different contract consultant people coming in since, your time here. So I don't know how we coming along with that. If one person is gone, can somebody else pick up their slack and be competent at it?
Well, I think several things. One is, I think that we have people, like, for example, in Section 8, they're all trained now. They know what they're doing. They do it well. Leela, who is out, has a lot of time, sick time, and she had a serious illness. She had several operations. So I can't replace that person. I don't have the funds to replace or either hire somebody temporary to replace her. Another guy was in maintenance. I had already changed his title and changed what he did. But still, when he had his heart attack, he's not here.
Right.
And so until he comes back, now he's supposed to be back on Thursday, but that means that what he was doing, even though it may have been less and minor compared to everything else, somebody has to do it.
Right.
So the person who is competent now has even more to do. And we hired a young man, I think in June, and he's come along to the point that I can put him in a unit by himself and he can work on the unit. But you still can't have, every time somebody stays home, somebody else has to do their job.
I live with that every day. Yes, sir.
With our operation, like any very small agency, if we have people out for any kind of time, you either got to divide up that work or somebody else has to take it on and something suffers. Well, when we have all these problems, if we didn't have these maintenance problems, I wouldn't have to go in the field myself and see it myself and do it myself. And I could sit there and, strategize and that kind of thing all day. But you were there, you see the kind of things. Today, while I'm trying to get ready for this board meeting, we get a fight. All power goes.
Right.
So I'm stuck. Plus, I got all the people I know. I got a couple of seniors with this kind of problem, that kind of problem. So the manager went out there, but there are more people than that one manager could get to in that time. So I had to get out there and help them. What I'm saying is, you're right, and nobody predict, at least I didn't predict, how things would be as bad as they are with the infrastructure. I knew about personnel problems. I knew about money problems. We always have those. But the infrastructure itself is not just money. It's deciding whether you fix, replace, or where do you tackle first? What do you tackle first? If I got trees that need trimming in one place or another, I got in one place where the commissioner lives, I had to replace a platform in the back of her house. It wasn't something we planned to do, but I'm getting calls every day saying it's flooding. So what do? We replaced the stairwells. We had no.
But back to like the people coming in that we hire as contract workers. So we're good. We're done with that because if you go back and you look, they were very, very expensive to have them come in.
Well, it's expensive when you hire a contractor. That's why we're trying not to do that.
Right.
But
And in the reports, it's like they're a big chunk.
yeah.
They're a huge chunk. And I just want to make sure that we're good, because that's a lot of money that we've
Well,
spent.
we're training our people. We actually spent more training than we've ever spent, so that they are confident and they can do. In fact, we have 2 other trainings set for sometime in October to do TwinMass. That's the software, so they can input the information themselves. if they get better at that, then we can back off some of the things that we pay accountants for, that we pay software people pay for. And hopefully we can save money that way. One of the ways that we've tried to save is, if you look through there, you'll see we cut back on a lot of things. And, you know, it's not things that we wanted to cut back on, but we don't have a choice. So, I mean, I don't have the answers, and I can't sit here and tell you that we won't do this, we won't do that, because when I'm in a jam, the only person I have to call is, not like I can call, who you gonna call? I have to call HUD, or I have to call, you know, the chairman. I'll say, well, what do you suggest I do? You know, but, you know, it's the kind of thing that takes some in-depth planning and takes in-depth, I guess the word is commitment on our part, because it's going to be hard.
I mean, as long as we're going, I feel comfortable as long as we're going in the right direction. That these people have came in over the last year or so have been getting our organization up to speed to where that expense will no longer be there.
We terminated
come
some
next.
people who were not contributing to our organization, and that's not something we like to do either, because we always lose. When we lose a person or terminate a person, that's not helpful to the organization, but sometimes we have to do it. I don't foresee that happening in any time in the near future, because with the guy that's out now sick, one of the other guys, younger guys, maintenance guys, stepped up, and he's been doing far better job.
That's good.
That's good to hear.
That's good.
All right, back to low rent. Section 8 expense
Section 8,
report for
yes.
June 2017. Can we get a motion to approve that expense report?
Mr. Chair, with great discussion and not as much on July's, I will make a motion to approve the June 30, 2017 Section 8 Statement of Net Position as presented.
A second.
All right, motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We're looking at July 2017 low rent and HCVP Section 8 expense report for July 2017. Board discussion?
You said we're doing the Section 8 of July?
We're looking
Expense of July, right?
the expense report, low rent
And
and
Section 8.
both of them.
Was that what we just approved, both for
Yeah, for
June
June.
in that one motion?
We just did June.
June, this is
Both in
July.
June.
We did both of them, but for
Both June, Section 8,
Yeah.
and the voucher?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think that was my
But
motion was.
can I ask a question so I'm clear going
I
forward?
thought I was just approving one. I'm sorry.
Did we say that we're going to get together to just discuss finance? And if so, is it your expectation that I'll come up with some dates? I mean, I'm not sure how you want me to.
I think it's something that needs to happen. I must just say, suggest some dates to us, and this is just wide open, just out
Are
there.
we talking
What time
board
frame?
meeting time, Saturdays, evenings? What? I mean, I just need some kind of guidance, because it's you don't know what sometimes trying to get people to say
I got you.
is best.
Well, we've missed a couple of meetings, so we still got a couple that we could make within the big picture of the 12, so we could make up some board meetings, because we didn't have last month, so that leaves a time frame that we could come in.
That's why we're combining it tonight.
That's why you.
But no, yeah, I got you, but I follow you on that.
Well,
But you were asking about...
I'm good with that, except that I don't think, and it just might be my understanding, I don't think the hour we have for board meetings.
Well, I wasn't planning on being here just an hour.
Oh, well, that's
But I'm just trying to, again, and I know, and time is everything, believe me, I get that.
Yeah.
But if we don't put in the time, we're going to have the same conversation next year.
I've worked at housing authorities where we would go at 5 and leave at 3 in
So
the morning.
I'm going to say whatever my fellow commissioners is kind of want to commit to. I mean, if it's a Saturday morning or something, whatever, I don't want to pick people, I don't know people's schedule, but I know we got to do something.
Do any of the other commissioners have any comments regarding availability, thoughts, processes?
Saturdays are impossible for me.
How about you come up with some dates first and then,
All right, so what's the time frame? Do you want it to be this month? This month?
well, this month ends at the end of the week.
I mean,
I mean, you know,
we're looking at October at this point.
I'm in October. You want it to be in October? Like, come up with some days and.
Yeah.
That works for me.
Okay, and you want it to be before the next meeting?
If everybody's amenable to that. I know it's just a conversation we have to have. As soon as possible is great.
If I can put my dibs in, that piece that I gave you, I gave to HUD on possible action plan.
Mhm.
If I have your input on that, I know how to lean and how to push with HUD. So whenever, you know, that could be a starting point, because that's money, even though it looks like tasks.
Mm-hmm.
It's money, because it's all big money.
Yes, sir. That's what
So I'm saying that October is better. We can get
Oh,
something.
I'm fine if it, I don't want to say too long, if it takes 2 months to start something, but
Yeah,
at least
October.
start something.
I mean, October's fine. I just want to know, like, so we can just kind of, so we know October, do we want it before the next meeting, or does that matter? Or should we have it done before the next meeting? What do you think?
Well, yeah, before the next meeting, because the next meeting in October will be the last
Day.
It's
Thursday.
Thursday in October, obviously.
Which is
Tuesday.
last
I'm not
Tuesday,
there.
which is actually October 31st.
Well, yeah, that is the very last day.
Yeah,
So he says Saturdays don't work.
okay.
And I prefer
So
not Saturdays.
he prefers not Saturday, so Saturday is out of the question.
But I do it if that's what the majority wants.
So what
Everybody
about
has
what about-
jobs or, you know, whatnot. So probably be like an evening
Mm-hmm.
during the week. We probably go to maybe the library, maybe rent out a room if it's, you know,
Yeah, we can-
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You think?
I mean, I'll get the place. I'll get a
Okay.
place that's decent, you know, that kind of thing. We can even get a few refreshments or whatever.
Okay. And what our, well, our topic will be what we decide.
Financial.
Finances.
All
Financial.
Finance, all right.
But it won't be a formal meeting per se, so we don't have to go through the formalities
Gotcha.
of it.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. Okay.
The 15th of October is on a Saturday. So the first 2 weeks, the first Monday in October is the 2nd. So,
That's this Monday.
From the coming. Don't want to shoot for the week of the, like you said, the 15th. That's like the,
Oh, let me look at it. Let me see.
the first Monday of the next week would be the 16th. It'll be the 16th
or
through
the,
the,
yeah, the week of the 16th, yeah.
16th through the 20th would be that week.
That could work for me.
I think that's far out in advance for everybody to kind of
Yeah.
adjust their schedules.
All right, what I can do tomorrow, I'll send around asking you of those days that are in, which one is the best day.
Third, okay.
And the only other question I have is there any kind of rule or ethical thing that we need to be aware of if we're all meeting?
Just more
We
than,
cannot, what I've done and seen in the past is we call it a training session or something like that, and you have me present something to you.
Okay.
So, and in this case, I will be presenting something to you because I'm going to be talking about the finances
Right.
Yeah.
and just going in depth so that we can understand.
All right, so we're looking to have a financial training session
Right.
sometime in the month of October, probably the week of
16th
the
through the
16th to
20th.
the 20th. All right.
Sounds
What
like-
time frame? Is it 6 o'clock good for everybody else?
I think 6
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Then we'll just correspond via email on
I'll
the
send
actual
out
dates that are available and
I'll
what
send out
everyone's availability is.
little calendar.
Yeah.
map,
Okay.
And you can just check off what's good.
Sound good.
Right. All right, looking at the low rent and Section 8 expense reports for July 2017, do we have discussion on either of those reports?
Mr. Chair, I'm going to say I did have some discussion, but it's pretty much similar to the conversation we had from last month.
Okay.
So I'm not going to ask those questions again. So if you prepared for a motion?
I'm ready for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the Section 8 and low rent financial statements for the month of July as presented.
Second.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Wood, second by Commissioner Bailey. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries. All right, and now commissioners are in receipt of the August 2017 low rent and Section 8 expense report for review. It should be in our package.
I sent it out.
Yeah, it should be in our package for this evening.
You sent something out to my house today?
Yep, twice.
Must be stuck somewhere. I didn't see it. It's usually at the back door. Because I'm sure I was up. I was like, where is this? I'm reading everything from the computer.
So, yeah, I believe everybody's received it. If not, I know we can get you a copy.
Yeah, I'm no problem.
If you did not get the July, I'll send it out again tomorrow.
That's the August, correct?
Yeah, August.
August was delivered this month. July sent by email.
You had that.
Yeah, we
had
have it in
those.
July.
It was August that I was.
Yeah,
August I sent out.
Yeah, August is here, yeah.
right. It came out a couple days ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right, so everybody's in receipt of that, and we'll have the opportunity to review it for next month's meeting.
We can talk about it in the
Sure.
meeting we're going.
If anyone has any discussion or questions about it at this time for August. All right. Seeing none, Mr. Bell, if you want to give your board report. I know we're circling back around a little bit on some things, but
This is just the way the week has been. But I tried to give you, and I think I passed out a sheet. It's a single sheet, front and back, early on today. And on it, I just gave you some of the highlights and the major things that have happened. No, it says July, I'm going to show it to you. I'll give it to you. You see that?
I think we have triple the paperwork that we normally have in a meeting, so if you can see.
I'll show it how it looks. I think I'm going to show it how it looks.
Because I have mine all laid out right.
I did see that paper somewhere.
I thought I passed it out when it came tonight.
I think you did. It's in this stack. These are resolutions.
Now we're bringing this, trying to contemplate something.
I thought we had it,
I'm pretty sure I had it tonight.
or maybe I saw it in an email.
This is everything you gave us tonight.
Hold on a second. I'll show you.
Let's make sure that doesn't go.
Is this the one right here? No, it's not it.
It's one sheet, front and back, and it's,
I said no front, no one.
one of the
sheet.
things I've attached is part of the report of two conferences that are going to be held for commission.
Oh, yeah, you attached that right here in the back.
It looks like this. I think this is the old one from last month, but it looks exactly like that.
Okay.
And if you have-
I don't know that we have that.
No, we don't have that.
Oh, you don't have it.
I do.
I apologize. I got more people than
Because
that.
everything is laid out right here.
All right,
What I tried to do was,
if we can kind of just highlight.
I would say go to the top where it says major things that have occurred,
Okay,
and everything else we've kind of talked about, even the personnel issues. But generally, if you have any questions, I'll try to give you some answers on it.
all right. Does the board have any questions? Take a moment and look over it, but. Mr. Bell, I think we did a pretty good job of covering practically everything on here.
Yeah, I live it, so. One thing.
If we want to, I guess, yeah. I'm just looking at this for, the move to the non-smoking,
Right.
if you want to talk about that briefly.
What
Give
I've-
us an update on
What
that.
I've done is, we had the meetings at the Dufresne Center, and some of the people decided they weren't coming for various reasons. So then I had mandatory meetings in the site at Honville. I had 2 mandatory meetings, and I think we have everybody finally came except 3 residents. We had the first mandatory meeting for Booty in the office 2 nights ago on the 21st, and we had about, I think, 14 people there. So we've gotten it down. We did only one half for Booty, and we'll do the other half for the mandatory meeting. But we had 4 outside nonprofits to come in and offer their services again, and we have, I think it's 8 or 9 people that have signed up. The whole purpose behind this is because in October, we're going to start giving the warnings out. And after 2 warnings, the 3rd warning is a $100 fine. If it goes into a 4th warning, you can be evicted. What I wanted to do was have options for the residents so that at least if they signed up for one of these programs where they didn't have to pay, it would be some way that I would be creating more homeless people at the same time that I'm trying to stop people from smoking. And the nonprofits seem to be totally agreeable with that. So that's where we're going now. We still on schedule. It has to be in place July of 2018. We're not going to start the actual fines until the first part of the year in 2018, but the warnings will start next month. And we want them to get used to, for one thing, not standing up next to a no smoking sign, lighting up a cigarette. So that's what we have in front of us. Many of these people, as we've said before, have smoked for 30, 40 years, so it's not the easiest thing for them to stop. But I know from a practical point of view as an executive of a housing authority, I know the number of people that call every day looking for housing. So to put a person out simply because they got caught smoking 3 times and they have 5 kids that don't smoke is going to be challenging. So I'm trying to come up with any kind of alternative that there might be out there. So that's where I am.
All right. All right, thank you, Mr. Bell. At this time, I'd like to ask if there is a board member that would make a motion to go into executive session. I just need a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we move into, I make a motion that we move into executive
All
session.
right, we have a motion
I second it.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're back. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we return to a regular meeting after our executive session.
All right, motion
I
made.
second it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries. Zoom back to our meeting. All right, we're still on discussion points. Do any of the commissioners have any questions or discussion at this time?
Yeah, a quick thing. On the sheet you just gave us, Mr. Ben,
Yes, sir.
on the very back of it,
Yes.
when you said HUD salary compensation survey, what is that? And is that something we can see, or what were they asking? Or was it?
Yes, you could see it. I mean, it's public information, but we don't know what it is. Each housing authority, you can see it for us,
Mm-hmm,
but
gotcha.
it's only me and.
It's just a questionnaire that they send out, you asking you certain questions, or what is it?
It's not even, it's a questionnaire, but it's online, and it has the amount you're paid and the name, and then it goes in with everybody else in the country. It used to be voluntary, and now it's mandatory for housing authorities.
Is it just a means by which HUD can make public knowledge the various salaries at housing
Yes,
authorities, or
yes.
what is the purpose of it?
Well, there are some housing authorities that, one comes to mind in Passaic, New Jersey, where they were paying.
I'll bring that over here.
One comes to mind in Passaic where they were paying the executive director something like 300 and some thousand, and his wife 200 and some thousand. So they monitor those kind of things. In that particular case, it was some criminal charges brought and that kind of thing. But, now with so much attention on executives across the country in all professions, they try to make sure that HUD is not out of place with those. And they also want to make sure that you're not working several jobs. In other words, you may have 50,000 a job or something like that. So,
Gotcha, okay.
yes, sir.
So this was a questionnaire they sent out to you, request. Okay.
Well,
I was wondering what it was more than
They
anything.
send it out to everybody, and they call you up and say, you didn't fill it out yet. And it's secure, so you have to do it online, and everybody, all executives have a PIN number, and you can only do it yourself.
All right. Any further discussion from any of the commissioners?
I just have a quick question about the two people in here that got the contracts. Is that something that we were supposed to see or that we vote on? Or how's that process work whenever you hire these?
It's like
different
any
people?
other contract in terms of, we usually send out, well, I guess my first question would be, which two people are you talking about?
We have the fee accountant one and
Right.
and Mike Estes.
Well, you didn't, normally the answer is yes, you have to vote on it, but what we did was we gave them 2 years with an option for a third, so we invoked the third-year option. So before they could get another contract, I'd have to come back to the board and get you to vote on
So
it.
that was already in the contract that they'll get the
Right.
third year.
That's built into the
Okay.
first contract.
I was just making sure because I see contracts and we didn't talk about it. So
Yeah.
I know every contract has to come through us. So I
That's
just wanted
why I
to make sure.
didn't even send out, an RFP or anything,
Okay.
because we invoked the third year of the existing contract in both cases.
All right.
I can send that, if you want to see it, I can even bring it to the meeting, show you what
Yeah, I
it
mean,
is.
Yeah, I'd like
that'd be
to.
fine. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Any further discussion, questions, comments? All right. Seeing none, the next agenda item, we have our resolutions. So all the commissioners should have should have copies of the resolutions for this evening. I'll go ahead and read the first one into record and then move for discussion or motions on that. So resolution number 17-06-27-47A, resolution approving the updated St. Charles Parish Housing Authority HCVP Administrative Plan. Whereas St. Charles Parish Housing Authority must have an approved updated Housing Choice Voucher Administrative Plan, and whereas St. Charles Parish Housing Authority developed a draft plan and requested comments for more than 45 days through physical postings, advertisements, and website postings, and whereas the board has had adequate time to review the administrative plan since the June 2017 board meeting, and whereas all received comments and concerns have been reviewed and incorporated in the final draft and are now submitted to the board for approval. Now, therefore, St. Charles Parish Housing Authority Board of Commissioners, September 26, 2017, scheduled board meeting, St. Charles Parish Courthouse, approves revised St. Charles Parish Housing Authority's HCVP Section 8 Administrative Plan for incorporation. Discussion, comments, motions.
I make a sorry. Mr. Chairman, if there are any questions or comments, I'd like to make a motion to accept resolution number 17-06-27-47A.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Champagne for accepting the resolution. It's written.
Second.
Second by Commissioner.
Another thing, I will have a question after this.
Okay.
Yeah, after he seconds the motion on the choice plan.
Okay.
And it's. I mean, to say, boy, I actually read most. I'm sorry.
If you have a question on this motion?
Yes.
All right, well, before we accept the second, let's go ahead and,
Ask my questions?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I'm fine.
before we adopt this, let's find out what the question is.
Yeah, there we go. That's what I was. I'm sorry for me not speaking up a little sooner.
Yeah.
And that's not like me at all. I did read this. This thing really covers just about every situation Mr. Ben could run into. Gosh, and I'll go to where my question is right quick. On page 39. And it's more a reference question than a question.
That's on the administrative plan?
Yeah, the housing.
Okay.
And it's on page 39 of the plan.
Go ahead and ask the question.
And well, there's a reference in there. It says definition of key terms used with this particular victims assistance, whatever, say are provided in section 16.9 of this plan. And I couldn't find that reference thing.
Talking about the violence against women?
Yeah.
Okay. You're saying
Well, there was some in
it should be a reference there, but we don't actually put the regulation there. It should be a reference to the regulation number in the plan itself.
I think what he's asking is, where do you find
That's
that
what I'm trying to say.
regulation?
Say if I want to go define
If it's
a term.
cited in the plan, where do you go to find that information?
Maybe I'll put the notation, make it longer, but it's usually either Code of Federal Regulations, CFRs, or it's in the actual PIH notice, which that one is, Public and Indian Housing Notice. And they own online with every notice, because they come out with notices every week. But I will extend the reference citation.
Okay, well,
So, if we're making that change to this, do we need to,
I gotta put them, well, I'm still in the process of pulling all the comments off the website down, and if they're not in there, what I will do is, I think the easiest way to do it is when I make the changes to put them in red, even though it will be written the way it will look, it'll be in a different color, so that you can quickly see it. But in terms of what your question was, I would have to make it throughout the plan. the citation.
That's kind of where I was.
That would probably be good. Now, what I'm now questioning is
Whether we should
if we,
vote.
if we should vote, if we're making a change to the administrative plan. I don't understand.
Because the plan is so thick, and because he's asking for a change that will take place throughout, I can say that you can table that until the next meeting.
Okay.
And then I'll bring those kind of things. But I would much, how can I put it? I would much rather you give me everything that you're trying to think of, because it's been.
Well,
on
it
the
looks
street
like
for
throughout the
now.
document, when you give something or you cite something, the reference point, and even it says it's in of this plan, I thought I could flip to the back somewhere and understand a
You would
definition.
never, it would be this thick if we put it all here. And this
So, I
is-
mean, if you put CFR before the citation, at least that gives us a bearing as to what code we're looking at.
Yes, that's the basic thing.
Because then we know we're looking at federal regulation.
What I
and
have
not-
to do, honestly, is to make sure that it wasn't in there up front. For example, here's a case right here. 24 CFR 5.43, Federal Register Notice, February 3,
2012.
2012.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that's the way it is most places in here. But
If we
I
can just, verify that that
It's a
is
standard.
in standard
Yeah,
format
that's all,
throughout the
that's all.
document.
That's
All right. So at this time, the chair would like to see if we have a new motion.
To
Or-
table?
I guess technically what we need to do is we had a
A motion?
we had a
on
motion
table.
to approve and we had a second to approve. So we need to vote on that, and if we're planning to table this, then
well, couldn't she not remove her motion?
she can remove her motion.
Okay.
So,
I'd like to remove my motion for resolution number 17-06-27-47A until we get some more information.
we're removing it, and then we're
Okay,
going to call
all
for a
right.
new motion
Okay.
to table. Do we have someone that wants to
Well,
call?
Mr. Ben, I was going to say, how much
Table,
time? How much time?
table so that we can update with the comments that came out at tonight's meeting.
We're going to table it to the next meeting?
Yeah.
Me? Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair, I move that we table Resolution 17-06-2747 to the October meeting.
All right.
Those are the kind of comments that we needed for those 90 days.
Okay, and I second it.
We got a second from
That taken and accepted,
Commissioner
sir.
Bailey. All right, all in favor of tabling that motion till the October 31st meeting? Aye. That motion carries.
And Mr. Ben, this is what's on the website, correct?
Yes, it is. It may have
Numbers, pages, changes, different or something?
comments,
Comments,
in
yeah.
the column.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, I went through that
but
one.
I'm starting now to clean up the comments.
Okay. My bad, I'm sorry, maybe I should have called you.
Let's, all right.
Budget write-off.
Resolution number 17-09-26-49, resolution approving the write-off of uncollected funds. Whereas the U.S. Department of HUD recommends that the tenant account receivables do not exceed $15 per unit, and that public housing authorities should consistently enforce a tenant collection policy and write off losses, board approval. And whereas St. Charles Parish Housing Authority has taken the following measures to address collection losses, aggressively collecting rent and charges, or placing the resident in the eviction process, affirmatively counseling residents regarding the importance of paying on time and fulfilling their obligations, referring outstanding debt to a collection agency, see attached, and revising procedures. And whereas the St. Charles Parish Housing Authority has significantly improved the success rate of collecting and preventing delinquencies, whereas needs to continue pursuing the collection of delinquent funds, acknowledges the current amount of $12,430.35 as of September 26, 2017, and understands now it is prudent to consider the probability of loss and presents the accounting picture as accurately as possible. And whereas this write-off will not decrease the significant progress made in collecting debt or alter St. Charles Parish Housing Authority position in collecting funds now or in the future. All right. I'd like to say first that there was a few typographical errors on this resolution as I was reading. And I'm trying to think where they were, so we can correct those.
Yeah, but I have a question. I thought we had a resolution already that,
year,
oh, every year you have to do one? Okay, all right,
every end of year.
okay.
So, I know, how do we want to handle, so we can make sure that the,
Just tell me.
What type, I didn't,
so, on the first sentence, we got, board, next to board approval at the last line.
Oh, lost what? The first
I'm assuming that should be with? Or is that,
Yeah.
okay. And then, let's see.
US, that's what
yeah,
US.
the other look.
Yeah, the U.S. Department on the first line, it just says U.
Okay.
I feel like there was more.
Quick read through on it.
Where you've got the fourth paragraph, you have whereas, comma, needs.
Yeah, whereas,
I understand that it's a whereas, but
whereas I meant the agency needs,
okay.
We'll put a C, SCPH there.
I'll put whereas the agency needs.
Or do we put St. Charles Parish Housing Authority?
We can put that.
Yeah,
the
okay.
Acronym.
SCPHA.
Yep.
All right. Collecting debt or
I think that's it.
I believe that's everything on that. So now if we want to entertain motions as we've corrected.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Mr. Ben, are any of these people on this list, are they current residents of ours?
No, sir.
Okay.
All those names are names that went to the collection agents. They are out of the house.
Okay, because I wasn't gonna,
So, Mr. Bell, we're approving this as amended?
As amended.
Okay. So if we have a motion to approve as amended resolution number 1709-26-49.
I'd pass a motion to approve as amended, Resolution 1709-2649.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Bailey,
Second.
second by Commissioner DeBrouillet. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries. All right. All right, the next resolution is resolution number 17-09-27-50, 2017-2018 St. Charles Parish Housing Authority budget approval.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
on the agenda, I had 2.7, but it's actually 2.6, and that's what's on the resolution, 2.6.
Okay.
Today's date.
Oh, okay.
Somehow,
926.
yes, sir.
5-0 and 5-1 we have.
Do we have any discussion on resolution, board resolution number 17-09-26-50?
So our fiscal year ended, right?
No, sir,
No.
not yet.
Not yet.
It'll be on the 30th.
On the 30th.
Of
Oh,
this
yeah,
month.
okay, on the 30th this month. Okay, so it's going to end.
Yes, sir.
So this is the budget for next year.
Wow.
So should we review this?
You can review it. The problem is, if I don't get it into HUD
That's what I was getting
they
at.
hold up the money. And because the chairman, that's why they use their own form. They
Yeah.
all look alike. The chairman has to sign it. Now, we can revise it after we come out of the meeting next week. We can
Okay.
revise it as many times as we want.
That's what I was getting at, because I know we need to put this in, but also we need to look at it.
This is always, and I know that Mr. Woods always asks, but I should say for the record that we're gonna have the end of the year financial report next month. It always comes out the month after September.
Do we ever do stuff like, I mean, this is numbers and it's very general. Is there ever like a line item?
Not for the budget per se. I mean, we can get the backup and bring the backup to you, but it's really, 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 really complicated to go through at a meeting like this. I can send it to you, because I have a long one. But this is what we usually present, because this goes in not only to HUD, but I have to take that and send it to the parish.
I got you, and I guess just for, I don't say my curiosity, but it's good. I mean, I'm kind of accepting these numbers, but when you see just broad numbers, it'd be nice to see some little breakdown to how you get to these big numbers here.
Well, I get them from the accountant, and tell them what I don't understand or do understand, but I think that I'm sure I can give you more detailed budget information.
I think I'd like that, and I just like to see what that thought process is. How do you get to these how you get to the numbers?
So I guess what we want to do is, we have to have this in for HUD, but it can be amended.
Well, with budgets, we just call it revised.
Revised, yes.
So we can revise it
Revise
for the next meeting if we need to, or,
To allow us time to look at it and
yeah, for this budget, we got the whole year to revise.
revise, yeah.
The other one, we revise back the next.
Yeah, this one is for the fiscal year beginning October 1st.
Oh, okay, I'm back.
I must have which one?
Which,
You should have a 50 and a 51.
50, which is the one that is now in discussion,
Now in
is for
discussion.
fiscal year beginning
That's this
October
year.
1st,
N1,
2017.
gotcha, begins next week, okay. Again, I'm gonna say, the numbers are what they are. I could approve this, but it'd be nice to see the line item that goes with it.
As I said, I can send you a more detailed budget,
Okay.
and I'll send it to everybody.
All right.
All right, I'll pass a motion, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to pass a motion to approve Resolution 17092650, 2017-2018 St. Charles Parish Housing Authority budget.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Bailey. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner DeBruyer. All in favor? Aye. That motion carries.
This last one is a revised budget for the year ending
this year.
September 30th, 2017.
Okay. Resolution number 17092651, 2016-2017 budget. We didn't have any discussion, comments, or motions?
That's some question, a question I'll try to make. I'm just want to say, I guess the first thing I'm going to hit why we're revising. Then if I can pick a number here, total, the revenue, the very top. Can we just look at these numbers? We got less money in than we expected?
Well, that's why I went through that thing when we first started. If you look on the right column, you see $511,000. That's the $511,000 that's in reserve, even though it's written here as a deficit.
Okay, gotcha. That answers that
No other way
question.
to show, I ended up on the phone today with our accountant and the HUD people, and this is the only way that they can present it.
Okay, and I remember the discussion earlier, so I do have that one.
One thing I should have mentioned earlier, the accountant, he said that he was available by phone tonight. He wasn't in the city. But I told him we wouldn't call him wherever he was. But if we want him to come to that meeting,
If that finance, we talking, I think that's a great idea.
okay, he'll be willing to do that.
Okay, with that in mind, knowing that we're going to have the financing thing, I'm going to be done. I could approve this tonight if we need to.
Okay. Looking for a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve resolution number 17092651, a fiscal year budget, am I reading that right, beginning 10-1? No, no.
10-1.
Yes, 10-1-2016, as presented.
All right.
Not 2016.
Motion made by,
He's right.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay, yeah, that's right.
motion made by Commissioner Woods, seconded by Commissioner Bailey. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries.
It's been a long one.
All right. Let's see.
This one's for the record.
We do have a resolution that is still on the table. Do we have any, do we want to remove that from the table? Do we have a motion to remove it, or do we want to leave it on the table? How do we want to proceed on that? We're leaving it on the table?
Yes, sir.
All right, hearing none, we'll leave that on the table. No one's present here for the public comments. So do we have a motion for adjournment?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to pass a motion to adjourn the meeting. It's 7:53.
All right, motion, second?
Second.
Let's have a second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned at 7:53 PM.
All right.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir.
Two.